So how do you trade CPI without breaking the rules? Well, I'm gonna break it down for you in this week's video. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. I'm a day trader, and it is my passion and my mission in life to help as many people reach financial freedom as possible. So let's get right into it. We're not going to wait. Of course, you definitely should be a member of the MyFundedFutures Discord. If you're not, go ahead, check out my Discord community as well. We day trade live every single day, 9:30 to 11 a.m. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to record our screen and we're going to look at CPI, the most recent CPI, which was February 12th, and talk about how we can create a trade plan to trade data without getting dinged for the prop firm rules. Now I'll say this, I trade my own personal account as well, and I very rarely trade data or news of any kind right at the news anyway. So if you feel like you're missing out, you really shouldn't be. Okay, news trading is exceptionally risky, and really you should be thinking about news catalysts as just falling into your greater thesis, right? You should already have a thesis on the day, and news really just accelerates what is going to happen already, right? There's a huge liquidity injection into the market, and that is what news does for us. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to record my screen. Got it. All right, so we're looking at ES. I'm going to make some statements, and I want you just to follow along. Otherwise, this video will be 2 hours long. Okay, if there are any assumptions that I make that you have questions about, first, check out some of my other videos talking about volume profile, things like that, or just leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I use ES as the leader. So we're going to go to ES on the daily, and we're going to go to February 11th, right? Using the power of the replay tool, go to February 11th. And really what we want to see, so this is the 10th. CPI was on the 12th, so we can actually go one day further. Let's go ahead and add we have to go to the 24-hour because the visible range won't calculate on the daily for some reason, which is really dumb and stupid, but it is what it is. We'll get rid of the session volume profile. So the only indicator I have on right now is the visible range volume profile, which will calculate the volume profile for whatever is on my screen. So what is on my screen right now is some stuff going back to, let's just go back to this October 31st low. Okay, cool. So we could see here that on October 11th, there's really a few questions that we should be asking ourselves every day. One, what is the macro trend? So on the daily, we can see that we have this high. Okay, here we have a high, we have a lower high and a lower high. We have a low, there's this low, and there is this higher low here. Okay, so those are really the levels that we're looking at. So the second question that we want to ask ourselves is what liquidity matters and how do we get there? Okay, those are two other questions, but using the volume profile, we want to just simply find the largest nodes. This is really, really simple. You'll get better at refining this over time. I have a ton of videos on the volume profile on this channel as well as my own channel. Check those out. But these nodes show where participation is, okay? Now, you have to ask yourself a question. Is the market more likely to get stuck where there are a ton of people in positions or where there are not a ton of people in positions? Give you a second to decide. It's where people have positions, okay? So these nodes tend to act like whirlpools, just on the higher time frames, just like on the lower time frames. If you look at what happens where these nodes are, there's this consolidation, okay? We can see that the market consolidated here, which is why this node is very, very big. We can see these areas of consolidation, these pivots, okay, coming into this node here. It's really, really simple stuff. It's not that complicated, and you can just expect the market to do what it has done. So why does this matter? Right now, it is currently February, looks like the 9th. I went too far back in time. So let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit on our replay tool. And what we really want to do is get to CPI, which is on the 12th. And we want to understand what is going to happen on the 12th. So let me actually just go ahead and get rid of these, and we'll just jump forward in time just a little bit. So I'll select a bar, and nope, that's not what I want. So let's go. Looks like that is the max. Just exit replay, and we'll go back into replay, and we want to go to February 12th right here. Okay, so we have February 11th. Now look at where price is on the 11th. So in this bar, that's where we had started our analysis. We can see that we're still inside of this node here. So we need to ask ourselves, what is most likely to happen here? We have this high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We have these lows, and we kind of basically have this wedge pattern. Okay, so if I'm looking at these nodes here, there's a very obvious shelf down below here, okay, and there's a very obvious shelf up above. So we are bouncing around or ranging inside of this node here, this really big liquidity block. Okay, there's a lot of stuff on the screen, so let's simplify. Let's get rid of these arrows. We don't need the arrows here, okay? But there's this very obvious liquidity block here. So what I want to do is let's zoom in a little bit and see what it looks like on the 4 hour. So we're a little bit higher resolution. I'm gonna go back to one of our previous pivots here. This was a drop on the 18th, okay? And let's see if we can better define this node. So we'll let this settle in, the volume profile settle in, and we can see here that there's this box where people are playing the market, where people are speculating, okay? So on the macro, remember the first question is, what is the macro trend? We have lower highs, okay? Higher lows, kind of forming this wedge shape. We're gonna have to get to, the technicals don't matter too much. And then we have this node here where price is. So if I was looking to buy, where would I want to buy? Okay, around these lows. Okay, very obvious lows down here. If I was looking to sell, where would I want to sell? Okay, probably around these highs. Very, very simple. So what's going to happen on CPI at 8:30 is that it's going to race to one of these levels. Okay, or it's going to do something crazy, right? It rips a high or it crashes way down here. Okay, if it does that, we can't really plan for that, or maybe you plan for that as well. What I'm going to expect, though, is that the market is going to do what it's been doing, which is stay inside of this range for now. We could come down. Okay, we talk about liquidity sweeps a lot. Sweep this low, something like that. But let's go ahead and imagine or see what happens on CPI. So let's go ahead and go to the 15-minute, and let's see what happens on CPI, and if we can identify if it makes sense for there to be any buying target around there. So this is February 12th right here. Oh, I went too far back. Let me actually select a bar. Let's go here. We need to go to February 11th. So CPI had actually already happened in that analysis. So let's go back to the 4 hour. And I had the CPI day in there. But it really doesn't matter. We can see that the story is the same. Okay, so let's see what happens as we come into CPI here on the 4 hour. So we'll move forward a little bit. I'm just holding shift and the right arrow. Okay, going forward in 15-minute intervals. And eventually we're going to get to overnight. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let me actually just zoom into the 15-minute chart here. TradingView is really, really lagging for some reason. It's probably my Wi-Fi. Come on, come on. And this is at 2 a.m. Okay, so you can see that it went down to, well, this trend line doesn't exist. The bottom of this shelf though. Okay, so let's do that one more time just to really, really hone this in. What happened. So we're going to go to the close. Okay, 16:30 is 4:30. It's 30 minutes before settlement. We're at the top of this liquidity shelf, okay, on the 15, and we can see that there's this bottom of this block down here. Okay, there's a little low value area right in here. So I'm looking for a long, probably in this range in here. Okay, it's either going to wick off of this low value area or come to this very bottom low here. Okay, so let's do it again. See what happens. See if we get a buy in my zone that has confluence with the trend and the bottom of our volume profile shelf. Okay, it's 1, it's 2 a.m., it's 3, 3:30, 4. We're coming up on 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7. Look where we bounced, guys, right in the landing zone. Crazy how that works. Okay, it found this little node, which was on the edge of the major shelf on the daily. Let's go back to the daily so we can see it. Okay, so we started on the higher time frames. And we can see that there was this little landing zone where the market interacted with this pocket of participation on the edge of that macro node that we had. We have to go back to the 24 hour for this to load here. Okay, very, very simple stuff. So how does that work if you're trading prop firms? Well, let's go ahead and zoom back into the 5-minute and let's go look at this point in time. Okay, so CPI is at 8:30. Okay, now MyFundedFutures, you're not allowed to trade at 8:30 or the few minutes around it. Look how much time passed though for you to get into a trade, right? If I come back to even here, this is 9:05, 9:30. I could wait till market open, hit a buy. Okay, I'm in here. Let's put my stop loss at the bottom of the zone that I marked, and let's put my take profit back up here at the open of the data candle. Okay, and you can see how even though MyFundedFutures doesn't allow us to trade data, it really doesn't matter. Also, if you're trading your own account, it also doesn't matter. We're not really talking about that in this video, but there's plenty of upside here. Okay, we know the rest of the story for the day. It eventually climbs. Okay, you could take profit either at this overnight low here, right? You can see that it's found some consolidation here in this pocket of node or this pocket of volume and continued to climb higher. It's really that simple, guys. So you just need to come up with a thesis on the higher time frames, understand where or understand what liquidity matters, and then think about how we get there. You can see that data did not do anything crazy. When you're zoomed in, and a lot of times people are trading like this, this is what your guys' screen looks like when you're trading. Okay, if you're trading like this, then it's gonna be really hard to anticipate where the market's gonna go. or some of you guys shimmy trades and it looks like this. Okay, if you zoom out, it makes sense that we're going to stop, not the 15 hour, let's go to the 4 hour, that we're going to stop at the edge of the shelf. It just makes sense because that's where participation is. I'm saying participation, what does that mean? That's where people are positioned. There's literally way more people positioned here than down here. Are there people down here at 6,006, this little range? Yeah, but there are way more people here. So the people who are here, all of them are going to interact when price gets to where they either are at max profit or max pain. It's a very simple way to think about edges. Okay, as you get to these edges that are well-defined in the market, and I say well-defined and not just slightly defined, but these very big, obvious shelves in the volume profile, the market will interact there. You add in the confluence for the macro trend, the fact that we're ranging on the macro, we have this consolidation, and it makes sense for us to take a long here, right? It fits into what is happening on the macro. Super duper duper easy trade this week for CPI, and you can make a lot of money, and you don't break any rules doing it. Let me know if you have questions. Subscribe to the MyFundedFutures channel. Of course, please subscribe to my channel. I just passed 15,000 subs over there, which is awesome. I appreciate all of you. Join us in on some of our live streams over in the Discord. And yeah, here to help however I can. Deuces.